my hand was like this far from the top of the beam, like I couldn't even reach it. And I'm literally like, what the heck? Like, I'm looking down, I'm terrified of heights, I'm already shaking, and I'm like, how the heck am I gonna get over this stupid thing? Hey guys, what is up? It is Taylor. Back to what today's video is. I asked you guys on my Instagram what you guys wanted to see, and if you all don't follow me on Instagram, put that all right here. But I asked you all what you all wanted to see, and the most responded to thing was Army ROTC and air assault, which is pretty obvious because that's the only thing I've been posting about for the last 2 weeks on Instagram and Snapchat. So I was just going to talk about what the experience was like being a cadet, and then also just like what it was like overall and how that went for me. So let's get started. So first I want to say is that air assault school, for you guys who don't know what it is, air assault school is basically a combination of sling load operations, aircraft operations, and then you do rappelling, and it's broken into 3 different phases. Anyone who shows up for air assault school has to go through 0 day, and 0 day is the very first day before the course enters, and they let you know straight off the bat that you are not in air assault school until you pass 0 day. And 0 day is probably one of the harder days for sure, but it's combined with a 2-mile run and a obstacle course. And the obstacle course had, I want to say like 9 or 10 obstacles, but basically how that goes is there's 2 obstacles that you have to pass to even like go on, and those are the first 2 obstacles you get to, and you get 2 attempts at each obstacle to get over them, and then if you fail both of them, you're done. They literally send you home. And like 0 day, for example, is so you have to pass the tough one, which is a rope climb up like a 16-foot rope, and then you walk across these like beams, and then I'll try to put a picture up here so you guys can see. You walk across these beams, climb up this ladder, and then climb down this rope. And that was the very first thing we did after we had a 2-mile run that morning, so we were already tired. And let me tell you, I ran the slowest 2-mile run I'd ever run in my life, which is a combination of definitely the humidity, which I'm kind of used to the humidity because I live in Miami, but the humidity here was a lot worse and it was a lot hotter. It was like 98, like we had a heat cat on the very first day. Like a guy was standing in formation and he fell out because it was so hot. And then we had a heat cat the next day, and after that they were easier on us, if you will, because the heat was so bad. So I normally run mine in like a 30 to like 15 minute ish, like in there, and so I had a lot of time to spare, so I like wasn't concerned about that. But the 2-mile run had a ton of hills, and combined with having like 250 people trying to run this stupid thing, like I literally was at the very back just because my last name. So I was at the very back, and there was like 100 people ahead of me, and it was just, I was already like a whole minute behind just because I got started last. That run was hard, and I ran it in like a 16:40, so it was really, really bad. But didn't matter. I could have went slower because I had a minute to spare, and I really would just want to save my energy for the obstacle course because I knew that was going to be hard. Between obstacles, they like smoke you, but more or less what they did to us was made us sprint in between the obstacles. And I got to the confidence climb, and then the confidence climb is like the second required obstacle that you have to get over. The beams are put like spaced, they're closer at the bottom, and then they get further up as you get to the top, and it's like 34 feet in the air. And the thing is for that is, so as they space out, like at first you climb it like you're climbing a ladder. You step on one, there's a beam in the middle, and then there's a beam on above that you grab onto, and you can just climb up like that. Well, when you get to the top, shorter people like me, and even some taller guys, like I'm 5'5", so of course I literally had an issue with that. The top 2 ones I couldn't even reach. And the thing is like a lot of guys had issues with that too. But you get to the top, and you have to go, you don't go over the top, you go over the second to the top one. And there's a dude sitting up there at the top. And I got up, like I had 2 left, and I literally got up there, and there's the guy sitting up there, and I reach up, and I'm standing here, and there's a beam here, there's a beam up here, and my hand was like this far from the top of the beam, like I couldn't even reach it. And I'm literally like, what the heck? Like I'm looking down, I'm terrified of heights, I'm already shaking, and I'm like, how the heck am I gonna get over this stupid thing? Like I had no idea like how I was like, this is impossible, like I can't reach it. And I knew a lot of kids were saying that you had to jump, and I literally was like, I'm not jumping, like I'm going to jump and fall like off the thing, and the stupid mats were not going to catch me, so that wasn't happening. So literally what I did, I sat there for a second, and you could use the vertical beams. I go over to the vertical beam, and I put my body over the side of the one in the middle in front of me, and like at the top, you have to put your body over it, and you like shimmy your way over and then climb down. Well, I was like, if I had to do that at the top, I could do that right now. So I just shimmy my body over it, and like I hold on to the beam, and then I get myself to sit up on the beam that I'm like straddling, sitting on, and then I can reach up and I stand up and grab the beam ahead of me. And so that's what I did. I just did one at a time till I could get to the top, because I couldn't reach it anymore to climb it like a ladder. The funniest thing, I got over the top, and then the sergeant at the bottom, which was actually, they made like the time like so great, was the sergeants there, because they were so funny, and they would like constantly just be roasting us, and they said I smiled a lot, which I probably did, but it was also my nervous smile probably. And the dude let me get like one, like get over the top, get one down, and then he's like, aerosol, and like, you get so tired of that word, let me tell you what, every left foot you have to scream aerosol. And this dude's like, aerosol, and that's like what they call us too. And I'm like, yes, aerosol sergeant. He's like, what'd you say at the top? And I'm like, nothing. And I knew I had to climb back up. He's like, go back up. And so I had to climb back up to the top. I had to yell aerosol, and then climb back down. And so I passed that, and I was so happy when I got off that thing, because I was so scared when I got there. I was like, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I figured it out. And after that, the rest of the obstacles weren't, so they're required, but you can fail one obstacle, and each obstacle gives you 2 attempts. So after the 2 required, you can fail one of the other like 7 remaining. And I didn't really have a problem with any of the others. I had to redo like 2 of them, but I got them on the 2nd attempt, just because I'm like shorter, and it was hard for me. But anyways, yeah, so that's 0 day. And surprising thing, so we lost like one, I think a sergeant on that run, the 2-mile run. And then the obstacle course, was like the day that we lost like all the females. We literally had, I want to say like 35 females at the beginning of 0 day, and by the end of 0 day we only had 10 of us. And those 10 that we had finished the course, like all of us graduated, all 10 of us graduated, but we lost like 25 on that day. But the males did much better. I don't know how many they lost on that day, but overall there was like 250 or so in like total of us, and then the males there's probably like 230 or something. And I want to say they lost definitely some on obstacle course day, and then they lost like a lot throughout as well. And then after that you go into phase 1, and phase 1 is just like aircraft operations, and you basically memorize everything there is to know about every type of aircraft, from like the Chinooks to the Blackhawks to the Lakota. And what really helped us is there was guys making Quizlets, and we all just like studied the Quizlet, and it was fine. So that was the first phase 1. I don't really think we lost anyone in phase 1. We also had a 6-mile road march that you had to make in under an hour and a half. I hadn't done a ruck in a while, and I found out our rucks literally weighed like 47 pounds is what we weighed them in at the airport. There's a layout of basically what all you need for aerosol school, and you have to have every single item on that layout. And if literally you're missing like one earplug, they will kick you out. They basically would just scream at us to, like, when we got done, as soon as we got done, you just dump your whole ruck out. They're screaming at you, like, stand at attention, and they're like, hold up your LBV in your right hand and 2 OCP tops in your left, and like you have to have each one in the right hand and like have the items there, and then they will give you like 10 seconds to shove it back into your rucksack. And that's how our layout went. I know a lot of layouts are super organized, and I thought mine was going to be like that, so I had labeled my entire poncho where every single item went and stuff. We just did like a hold up in the air layout, scream at us, smoke us in between type of layout. So that's how ours went. But yeah, that was phase 1. So 6 mile was fine. And you also get these turnaround items. So for like the 6 mile like turnaround item, it was like at the 3 mile mark, and we got like a popsicle stick. And if you lose that popsicle stick, you get sent home. So people were like sticking them in their mouth. Like I stick mine in my sports bra. Like I literally was like, this thing is not going anywhere. Like, and I kept checking to make sure it was there and stuff. But that was phase 1. Phase 2, sling load operations. That's the one that we lost like, I don't know how many people. There was like 94 retests though out of like 200 people. And sling load operations is like you have to learn how to rig these like cargo things to the helicopter. And like basically the way the test works is you get 2 minutes to look at a like A-22 cargo bag, a water trailer, Humvee, and what's the other one? A cargo net, 5K cargo net. And you had to look at these and find 3 of the 4 deficiencies with the rig. So it could be like the weight exceeds the amount that this trailer can hold, or this weight exceeds the amount the hook can hold. So you really had to pay attention to detail. Like, I was super lucky. I maxed my first load, which means I got all 4 out of 4 deficiencies, and then after that I got 3 out of 4 on the rest, and which was great. So I passed. I didn't have to retest. I went back that day. They did testing literally till like dinner at 5 p.m. and I straight up passed and got to take a nap. So, but you just got to pay attention, because there's like so much to learn, and if you miss one thing, like, it could literally mean you fail and you go home. So I was just chugging coffee basically like every day. And then phase 3 was rappelling, and phase 3 is super fun. When you make it to phase 3, like after sling load operations, it's like the last 3 days or so of the course, and they literally just act so different. At that point, like when we came in that night, and like all of us who were left after sling load operations, like you could just like tell, like the sergeants who had like been so mean and like yelling at us were finally like, don't mistake my kindness for weakness, but basically like they're gonna be nice to us now, because we had earned like some degree of respect. The only way you could really get sent home on phase 3 is if you is what they say is what is it called? Anyway, I can't think of the word, but basically just laziness and just not paying attention and being like careless and not paying attention to safety. And we did 1 wall rappel. Like, we straight up crawled, walked, and then ran. Like, no joke, like within, like, they had us on the ground, and then we went off this ramp, and then they put us on the wall, and then straight up after that, every single rappel was off the free end tower. And the very last day before graduation is a helicopter jump, and they didn't know if we were going to be able to do it because there was a lot of storms coming, but we jumped out of a UH-60 Blackhawk, which was super cool. Or repelled, I always say jump, but repelled out of the Blackhawk. And that was really fun. We waited like 2 hours for like a 10-second ride. They joke that it's like Six Flags, but it really is. And you run up and like you're like hitting your side, staying down so you don't get your head cut off by the helicopter. And then you like jump in the Black Hawk and rig up, and you can't hear anything, and the wind is so strong, and you're just like eye and eye with the rappel master, and you're just watching hand signals at that point. We went up to about 94 feet, so it was crazy. Like, you could see trees, like the top of the trees, and see stuff for miles. And we rappelled down from there. The belay is like the hardest part, and that's where you stand below and you're like catching people who are coming down and watching the rope, and that's the hardest part, especially on the helicopter, because they're moving and you have to stay below the helicopter, and the wind is so strong. And basically, if someone falls, you're in charge. Like, you cannot let that person die. You are like, you know, falling, and you jump on the rope. Only thing we had left was a 12-mile road march in the morning, and that was the day of graduation. And that was the hardest thing for me, at least. I know a lot of people were super eased at that point, but I was so scared. I mean, I know I'd done a 12-mile before and I made it in under 3 hours, but for me it's really hard because that thing weighs so much, and I literally weigh like 115 pounds, so it's literally like a quarter or a third of my weight, you know what I mean? So yeah, I was really stressed about that, but we got like 5 hours of sleep. We had to have all of our items again, and the 12-mile is the same as the 6-mile, except we did the course twice. So we went out into down a straight road, out into the wilderness. They called it a nice little nature hike. I don't think so, but you go out into the wilderness and you hike out there for, you know, till you hit the 6-mile mark or 3-mile mark, and then you come back 3 miles, out 3 miles, back 3 miles, and that's how it goes. And you get your turnaround items. We started at 2:15 in the morning. They have a pacer guy who, like, the trucks are behind, and the trucks is what you don't want to end up in, because if you end up falling behind the pacer guy, by the time one of the mile markers, you're done, and you have to get in the truck and you go home. And you see the lights, like if you see the lights getting close and they'll start screaming at you like to hurry up, then you know like you're getting too close to the pacer. Most of the time I was a full like half mile ahead of the pacer, which was like enough good distance ahead. So that was like basically the whole time until the 11th mile, and all of us who were in the back were looking back and we didn't see any of the truck lights. And I was like, all right, well, I'm doing fine, I don't see any truck lights. And literally this cadre member comes up behind us and he's screaming like, you have 15 minutes, you better go. And like, I turned to this guy, it was an Air Force guy, there was only 2 of them in there, and he's like, is that the pacer? And I'm like, I think it is. And we booked it to the end. I think I finished with like 5 minutes to spare or something like that. But it doesn't matter, because guess what? The guy who finishes in 2 hours and the guy who finishes in 2 hours and 55 minutes get the same exact pen. So yeah, this is what I was handed. I don't know if y'all can see it, but this is what I was handed on mile 9, and I knew I was going to get a bunch of turnaround items, so I had plastic bags. Like, I had a quart-size Ziploc bag and a giant gallon-size Ziploc bag, and I would stick the stuff in the quart-size, zip up the gallon bag, and stuff it in my sports bra. And I was like, this is not going anywhere. For that, the only thing left was that you had to pass the layout, but it was all worth it because I got these, and then I slept for 2 days. So I hope this was like super informative. I could do another video on like how I got a specialty school spot as a cadet. I did first get the airborne slot, but I wasn't gonna miss 2 weeks of school, and the other school started later. So he's like, oh, we'll give it to this school. So that school got the airborne slot. That's why I ended up at Air Assault. But I'm glad that I got like one of the harder schools out of my way, and like really just put into perspective like how much easier things are in life. So that's what I learned from that. And if you guys want to know like anything else, or you guys want to see any other Army videos, let me know. That'll be that. Make sure to like and subscribe and follow all my links then down below. So peace, love you guys. Bye.